Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of It Depends, I Guess podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Caroline.
And at the back,
DJ.
yes. So glad you could join us today. Hopefully, you can see this in the title. This episode, we're going to recap Ali's journey, which is a 2-part series just before this one. If you haven't watched it, pause, go back and watch episode 9 and 10. Which Ali talks really well about his journey. And yeah, we're going to basically just kind of also discuss what we learned, because if no one knew, we actually didn't know the story.
Yes.
And he also said actually that he had never actually shared that story to anyone. So as his friends, we've known him for a while. That it was also new for us.
Yes.
So we're going to go through it. About housekeeping as usual.
Yes.
And this week we're doing it a bit different. So we are going to title it like your highlight or low light?
Highlight or low light of the week.
Yes.
That's the section that
or both, if you have both,
Yes.
knock us out.
Yep.
Yes.
So highlight and low light of the week, whether it's something that you saw on the internet
happened to you in real life.
It happened to you in real life. Okay. Happened on TV, because that's what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
So this week I watched Baby Reindeer. Is that a downer? I feel like it is.
No, it's because I did not know what I was going into when you recommended it. I did not know what was happening. But yes.
It's nothing to laugh about, actually. Let me just start with that. It's very deep. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
But it gave me a lot of takeaways that most of the time we don't really reflect. If you haven't watched Baby Reindeer, I don't want to be a spoiler and spoil it for you, but it's just about, at the top line, it's about a stalker, and the person who actually acted as the main character, Donnie, is the victim of the stalker. In real life. And it talks about sometimes addressing trauma. And to me, like, it's really deep, it's twisted. And I had a lot of reflection about things sometimes that we don't address in our lives. And that was my takeaway for this week. And it actually helped me to sit down and think about life, and not necessarily that has been traumatic, but small things in life that we actually don't address and are sitting at the back of our minds. So that's been my week, and I recommend it to all my friends, and you got traumatized watching it.
I was not ready. I was not ready. But I agree with you, and also I think it's sometimes when we watch, maybe it's the shows that I watch, but sometimes movies, especially, or series or things like that, unless it's like true crime, then it's a different thing. But like a lot of just shows for entertainment usually have like a pretty bow at the end, or it's, you're like, oh, then it'll be happily ever after, or at least happy-ish. But then it was just, sometimes life is messy. And it was good to see just life being messy. And it's just, sometimes we've not found the solution. That's just, you're still just going through it in life. So,
and it ends in a cliffhanger. I'm sorry for everyone who expects probably a good ending. It leaves you with a cliffhanger, actually, just thinking through, ooh, what did I just watch? So that's been my week. I binge watched that, I have to say,
My highlight, this is gonna be a dumb one, but I'll say it. I got to go out last night.
Oh yeah,
I haven't been out since I injured my leg.
Or even way before, right?
Yes, or even way before, like to go out.
Yeah.
So yesterday we were able to go out, like, to a small little cozy club.
Yeah.
It was R&B night.
It was R&B.
Yeah. It made me realize I do really like the club.
Oh, you do?
I do really like the club.
Another club.
I like being able to just go and dance, and you just lose yourself in like music and whatever. And it was just nice. I can only walk around a bit, so it was still can't really dance. I could just stand, and I can't even two-step, just swaying like a tree in the forest. But it was really nice to be able to just it feels like a small piece of freedom. And I think maybe also you made me realize things I take for granted. You don't realize. You think to yourself, oh, just 8 weeks, I'll just watch all of Netflix, and then you start climbing the walls. But I had a good night last night.
A little cozy place called The Spot somewhere in Zurich.
Yeah.
For anyone in Zurich,
Yeah.
we loved it.
Yeah.
Service
really
was good.
Yes.
The crowd was not that big.
Yeah.
The DJ was good.
The music was good.
Yes.
Yeah. I played R&B. Then at some point, if you've never had R&B, I'm a piano blend. I'd never either, but I'm a fan.
I didn't know 90s
Now
and I'm a piano bit actually could
marry quite well.
I was like,
really good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Tando, hi, or DJ, both.
DJ.
You're coughing, we can hear that.
I'm coughing. I'm not well at all.
Yeah.
You know, highlight of the week. I don't know. The beef between the big three. Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and J. Cole.
Wait,
whose side are you on?
Well, first of all, why can't you men just get along?
Stop.
Huh?
You
Why
don't.
can't
Come
you?
on.
You're your own.
It's not
worst
even
enemy.
about that. It's just the sportsmanship of the. That's what rap is about. Rap is based on beef.
Can I pause you and ask you, because I have no clue of what you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah.
What is it all about?
There's a discussion that the three of them are the king holders. These are the
big
three.
Okay.
The biggest three rappers in the industry right now. Now, Kendrick Lamar was the first one who's been throwing jabs at Drake for a very long time.
Yeah.
And now I think J. Cole
had
just
enough.
caught a stray bullet.
Oh,
so
okay.
J. Cole just got a shot as well, since they say he's part of the big three.
Yeah.
J. Cole came back with something. J. Cole then apologized for
He
it.
was like, I'm so
and
sorry.
left Drake by himself.
Yeah.
So it's everyone against Drake now.
Yeah.
Now Drake released his diss track called 50 Push-Ups. Unbelievable. Really good.
Unbelievable is
Come on.
a bit of a.
Drake never misses. Now,
So which side are you on yourself? Like which side?
I'm on the side of rap.
Okay.
I'm a big hip hop fan. I like this sort of competitiveness, and I love it. And I'm just waiting. I know J. Cole and what's his name, Kendrick, are going to come out with something really good as well.
Wait,
it's
so now
also
J.
interesting.
Cole is now also against Drake?
Yeah, just
Wait,
you know.
but
Yeah, he pulled back, because I would have thought that J. Cole would have stood with Drake and said that, listen, no, the way you're talking, it's the big three, you know. And then I think J. Cole is not that kind of person. He's not that kind of
rapper.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
You know, he should be nice.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why you went back and apologized to. So by apologizing to Kendrick, it automatically says that you're on.
If you're not for me, you're against me.
Kendrick's
Yeah.
side, you know?
Yeah.
So you should go and listen to it. It's really good.
It's all right.
If I was to pick a side, I've always been a Kendrick Lamar fan. So
Yeah.
I
Come
know.
on. I'm also a Kendrick fan.
If I was
I
to
like
pick a side.
Kendrick.
Yeah.
I like Kendrick, but he's you see, his music is very thought based. I like to enjoy myself. You know what I mean? It's very
Just wanted to be useless.
yeah. I just wanna have a buzz. You know, let's have fun.
I don't want to think about all the.
I don't want to now think about that. You know.
No, that's the thing about Kendrick. Like, you're always reflecting in some of the songs that he sings. Like, for example, like If This Walls Could Talk. Like every time I'm going through something,
See,
I'm always
that's what
thinking, if this
that's
walls
what
could
I'm
talk.
talking about. I just want to have a good time, and Drake says a good time, and he raps. He's got bars too. He's not like a Mickey Mouse guy who's out there just chancing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's been fun.
Okay. Oh, but also now the R&B guys are beefing. So
Oh, is it?
Chris Brown also dropped her. Anyway, I don't know why I'm so caught up in this. But yeah, okay. All right. Now let's jump into the
topic.
recap. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, and I mean, first of all, I mentioned earlier that this is the first time Ali has given his story. So before anything, like we've told him offline, but also here that we're super, super grateful for him choosing our platform to be where he talks about his experience, his journey. Most people who've given us feedback, commented, have all just expressed like just how, mind-blowing
Yeah.
his journey was.
Yes.
And I assume it's not easy. It was not easy for him to be able to open up and share.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone learns from it.
Yeah.
Or just opens people's eyes. But again, super, super, super grateful to Ali for sharing with us.
Yeah.
All right. So okay, let's try and follow the sequence of how he told the story.
Yes.
So we will start with I've segmented it into the parts that are sub-Saharan Africa, then Northern Africa. Then we can talk about it in general and kind of our takeaways. So sub-Saharan African part. This is now from the Gambia through to Senegal, to Mali,
to Burkina Faso,
to Niger.
Yes. And if you want to visualize how that journey looks like, we actually have a visualization on YouTube.
On our channel,
on our channel. You can, Jackie with her amazing mapping skills actually visualize that pretty well. So go and have a look at that so that at least sometimes you get a visual idea of how that journey looked like. But let's go on to,
Yes. So just let I think the biggest, what he really stressed even in the beginning was just how the system was really broken down in the Gambia. So just having a lot of people just having this feeling of, once I finish school, like what's there for me, and societally, and maybe now culturally, I'm putting that in quotes. It's people who live and go abroad have a much better standing in society. And it seems like locally there wasn't an example of people who stayed locally and built a life for some sort of wealth was not a very common thing to see. So many people's thought process was, once I finish school, I'm just going to go and find opportunities outside. That to me was, first of all, just really stood out to me because I realized from my experience, and I don't know if you agree, but in Kenya, at least in East African experience, is we have seen a lot of people who've built their wealth locally.
The only part that I can take away from that about the visualization of people who've done a certain thing and having to go abroad was when I was in high school, I knew the best education for us now. Like our journey was to go study in the US. So we didn't have good examples of you can go to a private university in Kenya. So everybody always aimed to go to the US or to Europe to study.
Or it was public universities in Kenya actually had really good standing. But so few people could make it. And not because you don't have the grades. They just didn't have enough slots. So everyone is fighting to get into this public university. And then if you don't get into that, it's just like, so it's just either you go into public university or you leave or you go abroad. Because also what they used to take in was such a small slice number. Of
I was actually part of the system that got cut off for the public university. So I understand the struggle of having fewer slots that are unavailable. And you're a bright student. Most of the time you can only see even the people who make it in life coming back to Kenya, who are getting the better jobs, are the ones who've gone to either public universities or they've gone abroad and studied and come back. So that was also what I had in mind about drawing relations about the going abroad, what it was for us.
And then also one thing that I found that one I resonated with also coming from Kenya is if education is not the thing for you, it's very difficult in our, at least in most African countries. Like if you are not doing the math and the physics and the regular stuff, or if you fall outside of that, the system is very harsh on you. Extremely harsh on you. So I could relate with him on that in terms of, I know people who I went to school with who maybe just class didn't make sense for them or whatever, but they were really, really good artists.
Other things,
But then for you to go qualify for art, you still have to pass in math and physics. And it's like, but I'm just good at drawing. That's just, that was, DJ, anything that stood out for you?
It was a very difficult listen. It was a very difficult. There was a lot to take in within the first hour alone. There was a lot to take in. And I'm someone who's heard the story previously. So him, when he told it in its entirety one time, it was harsh.
It was harsh. And growing up in Zim, was it common for people to leave? Or was it just common for you study in Zim and you go into corporate or whatever, and it's like...
I think it was a big thing to study. If you got into the UZ, University of Zimbabwe, that was a big deal. I don't think I don't recall it being like a mission to get to Europe. You knew people who were there and it was cool. Everyone knew someone who was there. It's not like a target. Like there were great schools in Zimbabwe at that point. They were like the world class standard schools. The one I went to was really good. The one my cousins went to was really good. I know a lot of people didn't have those opportunities, but for those who did, it wasn't like a mission. As soon as I finish, I'm going to go. No, we're going to figure out something to do here. If the worst comes to worst, you go to Botswana or you go to South Africa. That was the difference.
Okay.
So when I heard his story, that the mission was like everything.
Everything in Europe.
It was different.
That was. I feel like it was much more magnified.
Yes.
Yeah. So then now, once he exits the Gambia, to head to Senegal.
Yep.
Where he was scammed just at Senegal.
This is where the scam started.
Right there at the doorstep. Yeah. But then what stood out in my head, which is very interesting, is his journey from Senegal to Niger. And he was saying, because we were thinking, he was like, then you had issues. I was like, maybe border control. He's like, no, it's not border control. It's the police. I was like, this sounds like, an African story. Like, in East Africa, it's the same difference. But it's just, it's like it's the system itself that is the one that is your problem.
Yeah. The police. You would imagine like the only trouble he would have gotten was between as it is to the border from one country to the other. But the fact that the police actually knew of people taking these journeys and they would do like random checks and ask for something and then hold you captive in the cells
for no reason.
For no reason.
Like, what would you write there as the reason the person has been arrested?
Yeah, they would always come up
what
with
is it?
I'd imagine like something like you are traveling illegally or you have no papers.
But you have papers.
Yeah.
So they can just say some sort of disorderly conduct or whatever. Because they have the authority.
Actually, in Kenya, anything, even breathing wrongly, you could get arrested for having disorderliness.
And that is so sad because then, I'm like, so it means that they know people are moving.
Yeah.
So they've built their own kind of cartel.
Yes.
It's like their own money-making industry where we just stop buses.
Yeah.
And, you make a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunate. That is so unfortunate.
Yeah. So the the systems themselves and structural issues. You have the police getting their money.
Yeah. And it also brings into mind this whole concept of, because this is what it made me think of.
Yeah.
So for example, in East Africa community, we now have freedom of movement, right? Where you can go to Uganda and get a job and, move around and you don't have the same restrictions as if someone is coming from South Africa to work in Kenya, for example. But then I'm just like, okay, on paper, there's freedom of movement. In reality, you have now systems like the police who have so much power. You just like, okay, fine.
And the police,
keep me in.
The police will tell you, you're telling us the law now. You're trying to tell them, like, you're telling us the law now.
So it really made me think of, this whole concept of freedom of movement. On paper, it's great. On reality, on ground, in our countries, it's very different. Versus living here, it's how many times do I bump into the police, like just stopping? Unless you're on the train and you're going between countries, then there could be a random border check of like, do you have a passport? Like, or do you have your ID card? Okay, moving on. And it's everyone who's checked. Right? But me moving from, say, Geneva to here and some random check, that's just fascinating.
It just made me remember, I've seen two channels on YouTube, I think, or somewhere on Instagram, where there's this girl who's doing Africa from the north to the south with the motorbike.
I follow
she's
her.
Netherlands. I think she's called Ichibut. And then there's still another girl who did the bike from Cairo to Cape Town. And I'm curious, actually, most of the YouTube videos I've seen, they seem to just have a conversation because she's recording everything. They just seem to have a conversation with the police or the border control. I don't know if they experience the same thing.
Oh, they do. What's her name? The Dutch lady.
Yeah.
What's her name? The
Ichibuti.
one who,
Ichibuti.
yeah. In Nigeria is where there was cops asking her for, and it was recorded.
Okay.
And then I think she posts like maybe days after she's passed the place. So she posted it, and then those cops actually had to be arrested.
Oh.
Yeah. And what happened to them? They were being caned in
I think
public.
they lost their titles, so they lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And then they were publicly like
Shamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they took off their uniforms right in front of all the police. And then the I don't know if he's commissioner. He was like, "This is not what Nigerian police force is all about. And they're trying to denounce this sort of thing." And lucky someone was watching YouTube. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Still, it happens.
It happens.
Imagine
Just-
for the amount of people who don't have cameras.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
exactly.
what I'm thinking. Like,
it happens. It's just,
If
and
it
it's
was-
interesting that these things have happened to us for so long.
Yeah.
That I think when I was in Kenya, I don't know where I was traveling to, and we were with somebody who's not local, and you know how the police stop you, and then sometimes it's just you're like, okay, you know everything is fine, but they're going to look for something.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just like, here is something, just so you don't inconvenience me.
Yeah.
And I remember the person being shocked, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Are you? It's like, and I'm like, wait, what? Then I had to really think through. Oh, this person, to them, it's just like really shocking.
Yeah.
That, you know, and to us, we don't even consider it bribes.
Yeah.
It's just like
That's the way life is.
convenience fee. Like
Just a cup of
just
tea.
like, here, have some lunch. Right?
If it was Toyo with his camera, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
because it wasn't Toyo and
That's true.
and Lighton, you know,
Yeah.
it's just
Somebody with
Yeah.
massive viewings online.
Yeah.
So it was, So it was just like, it's interesting how, that whole concept of freedom of movement is just, it goes to a whole other level once you live in a certain part of the world and you're like, oh, that's what
Yeah.
we mean by freedom of movement.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, now let's get to the meat of it. So one of the big differences that Ali said is once now, all the way until Niger, it was just, just inconveniences, which is like the police and, but it's now when they started moving from Niger into now Northern Africa.
Yeah.
And that's the first time he actually had the feeling of being unsafe.
Safe, yeah,
right?
that's true,
Which struck me a lot because if you know anything about geopolitics in Africa, the region is split into sub-Saharan Africa and Northern Africa. And Northern Africa is mostly bunched together with the Middle East. So it's referred to as Middle East and North Africa, MENA, then the sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
And just through his story, it was just so, it's very sad, but also really struck me how the difference is vast.
Yeah.
But then it's one thing to just say, oh, we have cultural differences.
Yeah.
But it's another thing where even just from like his experience being like, once you cross over and it's just that realization of, oh, this is the first time I've had to think I might not make it through this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's people induced. And most of
Yes.
the time, yes, there are elements. You're thinking about the Sahara and
Yes.
whatever you're crossing,
Yeah.
but you're more afraid of the people,
than the elements.
Than the elements,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. That took me by shock. I think I've always had it in the news where and also social media, like, because there are always these really fights where people are like, oh, North Africa, we are not really African. And it'll be like, okay, we came from different parts of the world and settled in North Africa. There's also a huge difference about how people look. So the color, and now hearing it where you can feel like the sub-Saharans are really oppressed through somebody's actual story. That sort of like gave me such big view into, like, it personalized a story that's always been told in the news for me.
Yeah.
And also, sometimes you see people fighting on social media about North Africa, South Africa.
Yeah.
But you never realize that actually physically it does cause harm because you're at survival mode in that essence.
Yeah. And again, I think I echo that. It's really sad where it's one thing if we're talking about elements.
Yes.
But it's people oppressing people.
Yes.
And to think about the fact that it's within our continent.
Yeah.
It's okay if we can have differences because culturally we just do things differently. That's okay.
Yeah.
But then where it's just where people of a certain color are viewed as things.
Yes.
Like your humanity is stripped off of you and you're a thing. Right? So they just see you as a thing that's all provides labor or whatever. And it's, to be fair, it's truly modern day slavery.
Yeah.
Right? So I think even at a time when there was it was trending online about someone had taken like small videos of like slave markets in Libya. I remember watching it, I'm thinking, is this really real? Is this really happening?
It was a slave market in Libya.
Yeah. And I was thinking, is this being sensationalized? But Ali talking about the fact that, he would be thrown into jail, and then some person, like a master, just comes and says, oh, you have a black person, cool. Come, you're going to work on this, on my property.
Yeah.
And it's like, something happens to you, they'll just throw you away. There's nothing in the system that says you're there.
Yes.
There's nothing in the system that says, like, nothing.
Yeah. And he said he was kidnapped.
Yeah.
But I felt it would be good we tell it as it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it was kidnapping, but you're kidnapped for work. So actually you're being a slave.
Yeah.
It's not just no more kidnapping. Because kidnapping, you would imagine they're exchanging you for money. But here they want your labor for free.
For nothing.
Yeah, for free.
For nothing. Yeah. And now this is just Ali's story. And this is just, now imagine the vast number of people who are there present, because like when I said he escaped, he was helped by other people who were just like, oh, they'll kill you. Let's find a way to get you out.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, these countries also have their own black people. Not all Libyans are. There's Libyans who are dark skinned, which he even said, even them, they're treated the same as him who's not even a Libyan. And I'm just like, that's such a sad situation to be living in.
Yeah. I don't know why this came into mind, but I probably thought it would be good to just bring into focus. Like when we traveled to Morocco, which is the northern part of this was when 2017.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. First of all, if you go on Instagram and look at people especially women who travel to that part of the world and you look a certain way, if you're black, let's say, you're treated vastly different. First of all, we were being catcalled on the streets.
Yeah.
They had all these names for us. Oh, Serena Williams. Some of them were funny.
Yeah.
But again, they're drawing attention to you. And then you've become an object.
Yeah.
I felt like we couldn't move freely. They also tried to scam us. You remember there is a little boy who wanted money for showing us a certain route. But I just, that came into mind because this is the experience sometimes that you get when you're Black in that part of, if you're from Sub-Sahara, in that part of the continent.
Yeah. I remember giving someone, I think they asked me afterwards, and I was like, that's one of the few places I've been to where I felt that if I went to the man, I would have felt safer.
Yes. 100%.
And I was telling someone, I was recommending, if you have a dude on that trip with you, just, it will be probably a better experience.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't care how people come for me or not. I don't think I'd ever recommend going back.
I've had different stories about Marrakesh. We were in Marrakesh,
Yeah.
But people who go to Casablanca say
have a different experience.
It's different experience.
I'm not willing to try it.
Yeah, for me, I'm not going back.
Willing. It's all right. It's all right.
Unless I go back with a man, because I'll feel a bit safer.
Yeah.
But I recently saw another girl give the exact story as I did, like even to a point where this is actually quite sad that there were two teenagers following them along the streets and they got to some little alleyway and she quite actually felt unsafe with her friend where she had to fight back this person. So physically you're in danger because even kids view you a certain way.
As you're
just an object.
An object. Yeah.
So Ali's part about his experience also in my small way brought into focus like our experience in Morocco.
And what also was interesting, what he said during that part when he was in Morocco, he was like,
In Libya.
In Libya,
sorry.
yeah.
He was like those. I don't think they recognize themselves as African because they were tradesmen that came from the Arab
Middle East,
land for the
yeah.
Arab. So they wanted people on the land because you can't settle in that's just desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. You can't settle there. So that's where the Africans would never stay there. So we moved down and across. Where there was at
Because
least
you can't settle in
settle
the Sahara
that.
itself.
you
Yeah.
can't.
So either you're either north of it or you.
You're south, okay.
Only the Arabs could do that because they came from similar lands.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's they see no familiarity with you because you don't look like my sister. You don't look like my aunt. You don't look like anyone I can relate to.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to disregard your feelings and your
your
thoughts
humanity.
and your humanity. So that's what I purely think he was trying to say during that period.
Yeah. And
Which
I think
is sad as well.
is.
You shouldn't have to look like someone I can relate to
to
for me
have some
yeah.
feelings of humanity.
Nah.
But
Yeah.
can you imagine the part where he said in Italy, like even in Europe, he's never felt that treatment
Yeah,
compared
100%.
to how it was.
That's really sad.
It is. Like in North Africa, he felt the vast difference of how he looked compared to Europe, where people are even completely more different.
Yeah.
Like he felt more unsafe with the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I'll take racism here anytime.
Yeah. Take risk. Yeah.
But not what he experienced in. Yeah. And I think even after you survived the elements,
Yeah.
I think what struck me so hard, because I think at some point I was thinking to myself, okay, if someone ends up in Libya or Algeria, whatever, and then you're thinking to yourself, man, this is terrible, because you're basically like a slave there. But then for him to say, but there's no way back.
Yes.
So once you're there, even if you're hearing somebody's boat sank today, you'd rather still get on the boat, the next available boat, because it's better for you to just
get out.
If you die in there, it's
Yeah.
okay compared to staying here and this is your lived experiences. Because how do you go back?
Yeah. There's no route back.
There's
With
no
the
route back.
things that you've seen,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what blew my mind in all of this is there's women and children
Oh, yes. Yeah.
on this
Who
journey.
makes this journey? That's quite.
I was just like,
Yeah, it was it took me a second to process what he was telling
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
You know.
And maybe this is something we would have put like the trigger warning in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
the
Which
episodes
hopefully we'll
themselves.
put on this one.
We will, yes.
yeah,
yes.
yeah. But then even him mentioning about how even as they're hustling for jobs and the women would come and pick up men to go rape men.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa. And then you also feel super disenfranchised because you're the one who's being assaulted. And then at the same time, you can either you also probably might be killed because if someone else sees a man in the house,
Yep.
they will just say, oh, no, they're the ones who tried to rape me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, people are just killed over these things. And I'm just like, man, I was like, I was,
Yeah.
That's it.
I just, shocked. just
That part was quite shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you're the victim, but still you're the one to be blamed for. You can't be caught in this kind of situations.
Yeah.
And you have no say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
You lose either way.
you lose either way.
Yeah.
Either way. But no, I mean, but okay, now here's the other thing that it's just in general. And I don't know why I was doing the math, but it made me realize this whole thing also, there's a whole business that's existing.
Oh, yes.
This is a whole economy. It's an industry in its own.
It is. And it just starts all the way from Senegal. Don't forget.
Yeah. Because that guy who scammed them
Yes.
knows the people who are coming here to take the bus to whatever. So there's people who are brokers
Yes.
along the way. So this is a whole industry
Yes.
from the get-go.
a money-making one.
Yes.
Even
people
the
are not
police
in this for
themselves,
losses. Yes.
The border controls, everybody is getting a share.
Everyone's getting a share. So there's these guys who are going to they're saying, okay, instead of you stopping in Mali and getting another bus, then getting another bus to wherever, or it's like chartering services.
Yes.
We'll charter buses for you to the end.
Yeah.
Which they know is not possible because you have police and every other thing.
Yeah.
So there's these people who from the get-go who just, the bus business, then there's the police here along the way. Then now, when he was saying even crossing into now Northern Africa, there's ex-militia, ex-military,
yes,
who are now driving these lorries that are getting you across. There's someone whose job is to walk you through the desert at night to escape the lights of, that's a whole business. Then now the ultimatum is the guys with the boats.
With the boats. And they are making the big bucks.
Yes. Then now, the fact that these guys, they're like, to them, they just have boats, but they're not going to do the effort of finding people to go. So they have brokers who are based on nationality. So there's a Gambian broker, there's a Nigerian broker, there's a Guinean broker. Which is how he was saying, like, if you're a Gambian, you look for the broker who's Gambian to get you now on the boat.
Yeah.
So the broker is making his chunk, then the boat guy.
Yeah. And if you have no money, that means the broker is going back to, because there's the connection back to your home country, and then taking away your property, your land, your cars or whatever. So at the end of the day, if they have saved up money to pay for your trip, but they're also making killing and profit back home. Like, it is such a big business. I think most of the time, like when we see in the news and think about this stuff, we're always thinking is, people just walked around, found a boat and sat on it, and then they no. It is it's been calculated and planned by so many people who are making a killing out of it.
And I was doing that. He said it was $700 to get on the boat.
Yes.
And the boat, they're like $200.
Yeah.
That's like 14,000.
The broker is also getting some money. So the actual,
So I think it's like 1,000 or some amount, and there's the broker's amount and then the boat guy.
Yeah.
Because now the boat guy, second time he was come the first time.
Yeah.
Second time he gave the boat guy directly.
Yes, the money.
Which is like 700, which means, or 500, I don't know. So that's the amount the boat guy gets.
Yeah.
So I guess these brokers will tell you it's 1,000.
Yeah.
Then they take their cut and they give the boat person. But I'm assuming even if it's at 500 and you have 200 people,
you're making that's like 100,000.
Is it? Wow, look at us doing math right here.
And we're not talking about Kenya shillings or
whatever.
No, we are talking about dollars.
The dollars.
Dollars. Per person.
Yeah, 100,000.
Yeah, 100,000.
And I bet you buying that inflatable boat is probably what? Is it? I don't even think it's like $1,000.
No, way less. Because they're cheap boats.
Yeah.
500 will get a good one.
Yeah.
So he's making 100,000 for maybe sending out 2 boats a week, 3 boats a week.
With and also the advantage he's also got, these are not repeat customers.
No.
Yes, that's true.
So every customer who comes is a brand new customer.
Yeah.
This is new money every single time.
Yeah.
So there's no track record. There's no track record. So you go into the sea there, 99% of the time, you either go to another port, which is far from where you left from the first place. He said so. And then you'll either not make it to the end, or you will make it to the end.
Yeah. Or you get rescued by a Libyan boat, or the winds, you get lost, so you end up wherever.
So this is not repeat. These are just
there could be repeat customers, because there's a point where he said that sometimes you can get on the boat, and then the boat goes, you're thinking you're rescued by actually the Libyan. You're still in the Libyan waters.
Yeah, but those are...
But then
so you come back.
But then you go to prison. You go to jail.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
They don't release them?
No.
Oh, wow, okay.
They release them to...
Yes.
They basically become people's slaves.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. Quite
so
sad,
that's someone making 100,000 to maybe he does 2. Let's even say minimum. He does 2 trips a week.
Yeah.
That's $200,000.
Yeah.
A week.
And these are people who are known by authorities that are...
Yeah.
So meaning you never know, they could be having cuts here and there to to other people, because you can't be running that kind of business that freely without.
Oh, and I bet you they're in cahoots. If it's anything like our countries, they're definitely in cahoots with the authorities. Yeah. So there's somebody who probably they're part of the authorities, so they can't really be arrested or chased. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to, because for you to just be running that kind of business.
Making that kind of money is you can't just make that kind of money and someone is not getting a cut. There are a few people
who are getting a cut. This is a whole franchise.
If he was making that kind of money, there's no point doing that for if you did it 20 times.
That's true.
You get out of
Why would you still
get out of the business?
That's
a
true.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a good
to
point.
the big city. Start another business
That's
there.
a good point.
You know?
Maybe he's even just the front for the real guy.
For the real guy who there's someone else making the buck. But anyway.
Yeah. But also it made me think, and this is just the illegal way of making money.
Yeah.
There's also
the legal ways.
Today I'm looking for fights. There's legal ways. I was thinking to myself, how much money these Western embassies make in our countries, people applying for visas.
Oh, yes. Oh,
to the UK or to the US.
First of all, let me tell you, I think the most expensive and the scummy way I'm going to talk about is the UK visa system.
I think they need to publish how much money they make.
Do you know, like, I paid almost £800. I paid almost £800 for a 5-year visa.
That feels cheap.
No, it's not cheap. £800 is a lot. That's like almost $1,000.
Because what was because I think I once paid almost as much, but I think it was their 6 month. Oh. Because they keep piling these things of, you have to, if you want to keep your passport, it's this amount. Then, you need to fast track it, this is the amount. Or then you need to do this is the amount. And I think it's because, especially if you need to travel urgently, that's where they catch you.
Yeah. I think the worst part that I sort of like told myself, this is the worst scam that ever exists, was, and I'm going to say for sure it is, because first of all, the consular is not the one that does the visa application.
Outsourced.
So they've outsourced to this firm. So this firm, I think they're called, I'm not going to mention names, but anyway, this firm, their way of making an appointment, you pay for that appointment.
Yeah.
But then again, they have premium appointment hours. So if you're doing like morning between 9 and 10,
that's
you pay
premium.
That's premium. But the general ones are never available. So you're always having to select a premium and pay for it.
And then that premium, you also pay to be in a room. So to pay for some concierge service. But these things are not optional. Like once you select, I'm like, what is this?
I remember I walked in and I think this is where I was like, I am so not gonna do this, because I think I forgot to attach a certain document, and the lady was like, if you don't attach it, it might not go through. So you better scan it here, and this is the amount of money you need to pay to scan.
I think the one that really pissed me off, and I think I was living in Ireland at the time, is I went through the process, submitted, then came back and they're like, oh, you didn't send us, there was something I needed to send.
Yeah.
So they're like, you have to resubmit with this thing. Oh, I said, cool. No, I had to pay again.
To do all the things.
To resubmit. So when I went to collect, the day your collection of the passport collection, they tell you, passport collection, as I think by law, if the process posed, they can't hold your something. So they've sent your passport, but inside is a note that specifies, because you're applying for this visa, we need, I think maybe it was for school. You need to, there's some whatever because the way I done it is, in the application form, you select the school, then there's certain documents the school has to issue. But turns out you also need to issue a copy. So you issue a copy, then they verify with the school. So I hadn't issued my copy. They send you back the passport, then tell you, just resubmit this. But then you have to pay again because you have to come back, make an appointment, whatever. So I paid double. I said, okay.
It is.
All right.
It's a money-making scheme as well.
So immigration is a whole industry on its own here. So even as much as there's this illegal part, also this, I sometimes... Anyway, let me not hate. It's all right. It's all good.
It's first of all, like even to to actually get the privilege of being granted that visa. Like, it's you already so much money is taken away from you that even when they give it to you, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, at least, you
Yeah.
try. You feel like you're the one who owe them something.
Yeah. And I mean, also my brother, one of my brothers who lives in the US, was saying, I think after watching the episode, and was saying, he's like, and to think that when we share war stories about moving to the US, it's just about, oh, you applied, your visa got denied.
Yeah.
So my brother's just like, so my only gripe is that my visa got denied like twice before I got a visa.
Yeah.
And then to like hear early stories and just be like, to be fair, as East Africans, just that is, we're just very clueless into.
Yeah. And maybe probably something that came out clearly is that in the structural part of things, we have the privilege of having this like good relations between countries. So we can go through the immigration system and try apply for a visa.
Yeah.
These are not privileges some countries in Africa actually have.
Yeah.
So when they want to travel, there's no way any government is going to give them a visa to travel.
Yeah.
So they have to resort to other means because you're trying to make out something for yourself.
Yeah.
So from East African perspective,
it's very,
it's
as Ali put it, it's like being given a visa is almost like meeting God. It's like, wow. That
was a very good analogy. I think he said it's like shaking God's hand.
It's like shaking God's hand. I was like,
that was excellent. That was really good.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't make you realize. I mean, as much as we always have something to say about our government, I mean, there's some things that we're doing right.
Listen, we'll keep it moving.
Okay, so I mean, let's jump into like takeaways, because I'd love to know that your takeaways, like general takeaways from Ali's story. I think the first thing is, I was thinking, I think maybe I'd said earlier, I was just like, it's like the untold story. But then I thought, is it the untold story or it's how the story is told to us?
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yeah, because what they always hyper focus on is all the boats coming to Europe.
Yes.
All these boats coming to Europe. And there's not enough being given towards what is motivating this migration.
Yeah.
People are not just mad.
Yeah.
There's not like we have collective mania and suddenly everyone is just like, oh, let's just know.
Yeah.
There's impetus that's creating this movement.
Yeah.
And also, as much as they always make it that, it's this part of the boat that's really bad.
Yeah.
As Ali was saying, no, that part is the easiest.
Yeah.
The stuff that happens in between, especially in the desert, that's the part that's like really traumatic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's ungoverned. There's no, how do you know what happened? If, like, for example, like this guy who was with them who unfortunately got a snake bite, it's just that somebody there was like, oh, I think I know their family, I'll reach out, right? But then how many families just never heard from their person and just have no clue?
Yeah. There's a story that's never highlighted on. Is it because there's no platform for the people who are there to actually tell the story? Because there's always somebody in control of the narrative. It's the people who are publishing the news story or putting it on the media. So the countries themselves that can control these parts.
Yeah.
But the people who are actually going through this, nobody ever listens to their side of the story.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, the amount of money these people are paying to make this trip is not little.
It's not free, man.
Actually,
it's not free.
It's not free. And even I pay less for a visa.
That's true. Even if you're charging me £1,000, it's just £1,000 and we are done.
Cash wise, I would pay less.
Yeah.
Monetary wise.
Yeah.
But even if, let me take the story of Kenya. Like whenever you want to travel to whatever country, let's say the US, you go and show, I have property, I have reason to return to my home country.
Yeah.
I have this amount of money in my bank. These people have still the same thing that they can show. Like they can say, I have property, I have a business, or however small, my family has this. But they're never given the chance to actually go through the proper way. So they will end up like having to use other means because that systematically that probably is non-existent for them.
Yeah.
So the conclusion for me on this part, on that takeaway, is that the untold story is because the people are never given the chance to tell the story.
Yeah.
There's somebody who controls the narrative.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. And also, today I'm looking for a fight. But also sometimes if you ever go to the on YouTube to see like the videos about or whenever news stories are posted about or they had to do a rescue for a boat or whatever, and in the comments it's always Europeans feeling a certain way, like coming to take jobs or whatever. You know, also the reason these countries are not stable is because y'all motherfuckers were in there colonizing them.
Yes.
So the reason
let me get the bleeper.
They come out of nowhere.
Yes.
A lot of our countries are still reeling from the effects of colonialism. So we don't act here like, y'all are just coming here. If you didn't come and pilferage in these countries and left structures that are not working because it benefits you when the structures are not working, these countries have wealth.
Yes.
They have resources. But guess what? They're not stable. Why? You're like, you're coming here, take our jobs.
One of the stories that I think probably this is going to be a whole podcast by itself is the France. Is France. And the hold it has. And all the things that are in place, like even up to today, that actually controls most of those Francophone
Africa countries. Yeah.
That's a
that their money has to be printed
even
in France.
Money is printed.
It's the French central bank that runs.
Even milk. I don't know how true this is.
In the DRC.
Yes.
Jeez, let me tell
they
you.
import milk from France, but I don't know how true this
from
is.
Belgium. The Belgians did some shit. Let me tell you. Belgium is a small country. DRC is massive. But what those people did there is... Again, that's a story that you never really get the full. The full. Who's the guy who killed a whole chunk of
Leopold?
Yes. He's the one who was chopping people.
Yes,
limbs
the stuff these people have done in these countries is insane.
Yeah,
And these countries are but he was the actual architect of colonization as you know it.
Yeah.
You know, even the English.
Yeah.
They went and sat down and then they looked and said, this guy is, he's brutal, but brutal with he knew that there was nothing left in you.
And people want to just conveniently forget all these things happen and just think, oh, these Africans just want to come here. Oh, but why?
You know,
we all just have collective mania. We just all run mad at the same time.
I've had stories of, I was going to say, I don't know how true this is, but probably I need to do a bit more research. But when some of the countries left Africa, there were treaties that were signed that you cannot trade between countries. And even flights cannot even exist between countries because of these treaties that were implemented and were left by the colonizers. So at the end of the day, they are gaining a lot from, they're still, even up to today. Even up
Tell
to
me
today.
why it's cheaper for me to fly from here to Kenya, but from Kenya to from Nairobi to Harare. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is mad. It's around the same amount. That is mad.
Even they're talking about it, there's things Kenya cannot trade with Nigeria. Ironically, we had the same colonizer. We were both colonized by the British. But it serves them that there's some certain things that goods cannot move between. You know, it's okay. All right. Other takeaways.
That's going to be another whole podcast, actually. We probably need to do a lot of
sweating
research
from
and
this
get
rant.
angry.
Shabadanaya. We thank God.
Anyway, other takeaways, please. What are your other takeaways from this in general?
Just on Ali's thing.
It's
weird how these things happen in life. Because the same thing, too much of one thing that could have killed him, too much of another could. Lack of water could have killed him on the desert. Too much water could have killed him through the sea.
Wow.
That's deep.
Here. Oof. Okay.
Now, I was just thinking of that. And it's just, for those sort of risks, so you are stuck you're at this point where you can't go backwards because that could have killed you as well. You have to go forward and see what's in front brings you. You've tasted the lack of water.
Yes.
Now it's only one direction.
And that is like the extremes in the same journey. It's not that you're having this. It's all towards a quest to get somewhere. It's all towards a quest of a better life.
That's what anyway.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, hot
That's
take.
great. That's great.
You call me hot take tea.
Hot take.
Hot take tea. I'll
Hot
take
take
it.
tea. Damn. Okay. Oh, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, a takeaway I had is right now we are seeing about labor, specifically about labor. We know that Europe is aging.
Yeah.
We know for sure.
Yeah.
We have more people who are on pension year by year.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of this. Like us, we are privileged of that because we're able to come and work in this country. But that means there's also need for more labor, maybe manual labor, there could be professional labor. So I'm seeing it looks like the structures that have been put in place are too slow. And we know there's need of labor. And the people who are actually moving from these countries tend to be, through that journey, tend to be the younger folks. And when they come into the market, they are providing that cheap labor.
Yeah.
And because I think one thing we asked Ali was like, when you come in and you're processed and you're a refugee and you say, I come from this country, the status itself may be you can be processed, and then if your country is not at war, you can be taken back. But how come sometimes they let you into the
Because there's the need for labor.
There is still need for labor.
There is still need for labor.
Yes. And when you're going to work on some of these places, we definitely know you're paid under.
You're underpaid because you don't know the laws.
Yeah.
You don't know there's a minimum wage requirement. You also don't know that, if I'm not being paid enough or I'm being overworked or whatever, I can go report this.
Yes.
And also because where we've come from, it's unfortunate that the systems have worked against you, right? So, for example, and something I see here, and people are asking like, this thing happened, what should I do? Everyone is always saying, go report to the police. Where I'm from, the police is the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
Because that's an issue on its own, right? So even when they're being underpaid or mistreated, people don't think to go there because your experience has not been the greatest with authority. So, and people now know that. So they also take advantage of that because they know they can do whatever they want to you.
Yeah.
And they probably can get away with it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I had one more takeaway. And I guess, actually, before I go to that one, is also just what you're saying is there is a need for labor. Why not just streamline the process?
We've seen countries like Germany, they've been trying to do this where they're making it easier actually for you to apply. To apply
come to Europe.
To work for professional, for the professional labor market. They've removed the work permit to something different where you actually can get a permit to work, come look for a job.
Yeah. So you don't need to have the job.
You don't need to have the job to come. You can come into the market and experience the market. And if you get a job, then that's transition to a different kind of residency within the country.
Yeah.
I think there is knowledge that there's requirements for these kind of structures to be in place, but they are too slow.
Yeah.
They're too slow, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen that because I've got a friend of mine who's in Germany as well, and they teach you German, and I think that's one country that has accepted that what Germany and Germans looked and sounded like is changing. At least if we keep our fundamentals the same and bring in these foreign workers who come and work and build up an economy that is basically built on creativity. Like it's a labor-based market. The car market is massive in Germany. And they need younger, able-bodied men to. So hopefully they will procreate and create other kids who grow up to be known as German. Even if they might not look as the traditional German, they have accepted that this is the changing way of life. And we are not going to look the same, but we have the same understanding of what being German is, you know?
And I think also what we know Germany's history. And I do like that they don't hide from their history. They make it a part of the education to know this is what happened and what we were as a country, to show that, it's not that it was very far-fetched, but also to learn and to know that that's we were on the wrong side of history, right? So if anything they do know that if we all know Hitler's history, he had an obsession
But they don't run for it,
with a certain look, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that they're like, no, we know, now we are saying as German, you don't need to look a certain way. Being German is more of a way of life. Maybe it's a language connection. But I really like that. It's been interesting to see how for people who are known to be very structured and very, regimented, how actually they're moving quite fast to try and
accommodate
more
people, bring people in.
Yeah.
And for these countries, integration is one of the big
integration
things.
is a big thing.
It's a big thing,
Yeah.
like learning the language, being good with what's expected of you, rules and everything.
Yeah. My final takeaway was also that you truly never know what someone's story is and what someone has been through.
Yeah.
Because having known Ali personally, he's one of the nicest people I know. And he's always like just upbeat and always just cheerful and always very positive. Like when we were starting this podcast, oh my God, you would have seen the excitement. He's like, what, you guys are finally doing it? Like he's just, oh my God, the most wholesome person you know.
Yeah.
But it's just, you don't know what someone's journey is in life, so it just, I don't know. As people, let's just always treat other people with good intent and just as human beings, we don't know. People we are a complex race.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Be nice.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, actually, and comment on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts, and your takeaways.
Yes. Thank you so much.